What's going on, guys? Ants Trades back with another video. Hope everybody had a good day. Pretty solid day overall in the market. SPY saw some green today. AVE saw some green today. AMC was slightly red, pretty much sideways gap down, and closed the day on a doji. Pretty much what I was expecting. I mentioned that in my last video. I said that this week was going to be pretty sideways, low volume, boring. And yeah, that's pretty much what we saw today. So let's just jump right into the video. Starting with SPY. SPY had a very solid day today, actually gapping up from Friday slightly to about 408.60, I believe, and closing the day 412.84. Very solid day for SPY. Reclaimed the bull trend on, kind of low volume, relatively low volume here. EMA is really quick, looking very, very good. Your 50 is approaching your 200. It's probably going to cross tomorrow. If SPY sees green tomorrow again, your 50 is probably going to cross your 200. If not tomorrow, Wednesday. The 50 is about $1 away from the 200 right now, so that's looking really good. Probably going to see a golden cross on SPY either tomorrow or Wednesday. So overall, no complaints there. Still looks very bullish to me. Jumping really quickly into the 4-hour. This is what you got. Here's the bull trend that we have for SPY, and we've just been forming higher highs and higher lows this whole time. Dipping below the trend last week on Friday, claimed it towards the end of the day, and then today you found the bounce. And like I've been saying, we're just trading pretty much range bound in between support and resistance between 406, 410, and 416, waiting for a decision. What can we expect for a SPY tomorrow? Here's the trend that I have now. Maybe you come up in the morning and get rejected off 414 and see some downside. Find a catch on the bull trend. Maybe you break below it a little bit. More or less, I'm expecting SPY to trade in this range tomorrow. Maybe a sideways day heading into Thursday. That's pretty much it for SPY. Overall, I still have absolutely no complaints. I still think everything is looking great. Everything looks bullish to me. I said it before, I will say it again. This is bullish. This is a 2-year long descending broadening wedge that we have recently broke out of since we found the bottom here. We have been forming higher highs, higher lows, breaking out of a 2-year long downtrend on SPY, and probably a day or two away from seeing a golden cross on SPY, which is a pretty big deal. So, very bullish here. Jumping really quickly into AMC. Very boring day today, very low volume. I've said it a million times, I'll say it again. Decreasing red volume on a pullback is bullish. It looks really good. Before I forget to mention this, I adjusted my descending resistance slightly lower than what it was. Still running from your top wick on June 2nd, running through the, you have touch points here as the red transitions to the blue fractal. I aligned it so you have a wick rejection right here on this December 1st. So I aligned it to hit that wick there, and it's still valid. Running through this, I believe we were halted on this day. Our retracement here, you get rejected here, come down. Finally, you close right under it, and then the next day you open, see some green, and then that's your break. And then from there you gap. We saw some more upside before coming back down. And here is what we're looking at right now. Here is Friday's candle here, wicked perfectly off of it, bounced up, and pretty much the same thing today. Not quite touching it, but close enough. It's right there. And again, guys, this is a 2-year long descending wedge, which we finally broke out of for the first time. And from the halt that we saw at around $7.30, we have seen nothing but red. On decreasing volume, which looks really good. This Friday was actually slightly higher volume, and most of that volume was green that came in towards the end of the day when we found the bounce. So decreasing volume on a pullback, guys, is bullish. This is a 2-year long descending wedge we broke out of and are coming back down to test the breakout, establish support on the top end of the wedge. I mentioned this week could be very boring, low volume for us. That's pretty much still what I'm expecting. I'm expecting maybe tomorrow you see a wick down to 445. keep in mind that every day that goes by, this top trend line is getting lower and lower, about 10 cents every day. So today it was 4.55, tomorrow it's 4.45, so on and so on. So you can see lower lows here, and still, you know, still be credibly establishing support as long as we do not break below it. I wouldn't be surprised to see a wick, like a tiny wick into it. As long as we don't close inside of this, I am still happy with that. So overall, I think things look really good still. Decreasing volume on a pullback, bullish. I'm expecting the rest of the week to pretty much play out the same way. I was comparing this to the breakout that we saw in June, and it pretty much played out the same way, where you break out, you see a gap up, and then you see some higher highs, higher lows to your peak, your local highs that you get here. And in June, you just gap down and then form bottoming action here, carving a bottom. It was more or less a W, pretty much what I'm expecting here. In June, you got a gap down. Here, we just got bars all the way down. Found the trend line here and are now just bouncing off of it up and down, establishing support on top. Pretty much expecting this for the rest of the week. I mentioned that I would not be surprised to see a lower low tomorrow to 4.45. Maybe even deeper than that. I just do not want to close in the wedge. A wick inside is fine, but closing in the wedge would be pretty bad for us. So what am I expecting? Ups and downs here on very low volume. Trading range bound here. Maybe until Friday. Maybe Friday you have a solid green day. If not, you're looking at Tuesday next week, because there's no market on Monday because of President's Day. So Tuesday you could be expecting a solid green day. AMC is going to be very low volume and boring this week, in my opinion. Not really much to see here. Overall, I'm still very bullish. I think things look great. I just want to hold our support, establish support here, and the next thing that we should see is a squeeze. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but if we establish support here and we hold it, we should be seeing a squeeze just from a technical standpoint. That's pretty much it for AMC today. Not really much to talk about there. Jumping really quickly into APE. Again, a very, very low volume day, slightly higher than the previous two on some green. I mentioned that I could see APE trading mostly sideways this week as well, as that's what I was expecting for AMC and SPY. SPY saw some green today. Wouldn't be surprised to see SPY pull back a little bit tomorrow, or just trade range bound, sideways in between 416 and 410, in that range there. So pretty much the same for APE. APE had a pretty solid day today. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, things are still looking very good for us, guys. SPY looks bullish. AMC looks very bullish. APE looks very bullish. I think it looks good. Really have no complaints here. So one last thing I wanted to do, and I was asked this question a million times, so I'm going to just do this now. I think it would be good for everyone to see this. I'm going to show the bars pattern, and I drew trend lines to, I think it makes it a lot easier to visualize what we have going on. Keep in mind, I mentioned this a million times, that these three fractals here are the same three fractals here that led up to the squeeze in January 2021. Same thing here, except this was a descending wedge, so the price action here is tilted downward. It's descending. It's still the same thing. You have a descending resistance that runs over it just the same way you do here. I showed you guys the touch points in the exact same spots. In the blue fractal, we have the same thing here, same touch points here. And we are approaching the end of the wedge. Not only that, but we have broke out of the wedge for the first time in 2 years and have now come down to test the breakout point as support. Overall, guys, it looks fucking great. It looks really, really good. It's bullish. That's a very bullish thing to see. On decreasing volume, you're pulling back to test the breakout. If we establish support above the wedge, the next thing that we should see is a squeeze. Again, not financial advice. I'm not giving dates anymore. I mentioned last time that we're going to be squeezing sooner rather than later, in my opinion. And that is that. Really quickly, I want to show you guys this. I think this might make it a little bit easier for you guys to visualize what's going on. And I've ran through the bars pattern a million times, but I really want to show you guys this. I think it might make it a little bit easier to visualize. I'm just going to pull this up, so bear with me for a second here. And that should be it. Now, here's your bars pattern. I have it right over the fractal underneath. And this is what we have going on here. And I drew trend lines. I wanted to pretty much help you guys visualize, because I mentioned a couple times that the algo can speed up and it can slow down. Usually it speeds up when you're seeing some upside, and usually it slows down when you're seeing some downside. So I'm just going to run through this really quick with the trend lines here, because I think this is a little bit easier to visualize. So from the breakdown out of the flag in November, you come down to a point and bounce up just the same way you do here. And then from there, you come down as we do here, and then you form a W up to a point, and you form a W here up to a point. Come down, up, again, another W here, down, up, down, up. This retraces and then rips back to the top, just the same way as does here. This played out a little bit faster, but it is the same exact move. It is the exact same move. Almost bar for bar. You're never going to see bar for bar perfect, but it's the same move. What you're seeing in front of you is crime, by the way. That's what this is crime. So just keep that in mind. Let me remove these, and I will switch to the red. Give me 1 second. A lot of trend lines here. All right. Should be the red one now. And that should be it. And let me just pull up the bars pattern. All right. So I showed you guys the green, and now here's the red. Starting from the red, you come down to a point, and down to a point down here. Now I mentioned this a million times when I run through this too, is that you have the shelf here. Here it was ascending, here it was descending. It's still the same thing. It plays out the exact same way. So you come down, you find your shelf, here was descending. Makes sense because we're in a descending wedge, and this was flat. I mentioned that a million times as well. So here, down to it, and then here's your shelf. This was ascending though. And then you come down to the bottom, just the same way that you do here. And you form a W here to a point, and the same thing here. You form a W to a point, and then you have your cup, which runs like this. It's a little bit higher on the right. This thing over here is the same way. You have a cup here, a little bit higher on the right. You retrace, and then you retrace here as well. And then you start ripping to the top, and then you get this, we'll just call it fluff for simplicity, where you kind of go sideways here. The algo slows down a little bit before you get all the way to the top. Here, it was pretty much a rip right to the top. So there are some differences here, but it plays out in the exact same manner, just a different time frame. It's the same thing, the shelves here, this one's ascending, this is descending. Here, it's pretty much another shelf over here as well, where you come up to a point and just trade sideways here before ripping all the way to the top here. Here it was just a very fast move, and went all the way to the top of the wedge. So there are some differences in these fractals, but it plays out the exact same way. So that is the red, and let me remove all these now, and then we'll jump into the blue. Just bear with me for a minute. A lot of trend lines. All right, that should be it. Here is your blue fractal now. Starting from the top, you come down, bounce up, come down, bounce up, continue down, you form a W here. It's a very small W. Keep in mind that the wedge here is getting smaller and smaller, so this movement is a lot more compacted than it is up here, but it's still the same thing. So down, up, down, up, down. So you have a W, and you do here as well. And then this is where you get the first difference in this fractal. Here, you just come straight down to the bottom. Here, you come down, and you get some, we'll call it again, fluff, where you have this little mini run here before you get your U. This just came down and formed the U. This comes down, you get this, and then you get your U. and then that goes into a higher U from there. Same thing here. From the top, you come down, you come down. You have a little bounce up here. It was one candle here. This was a bunch. Again, this is a lot more compacted as there's not a lot of room in the wedge to move here. So down, up, and then you come all the way down to your bottom, your absolute low. Same as over here, your absolute low. 10 days trading here, by the way. This was a V recovery, but still the same thing. You come all the way down to the bottom, all the way down to the bottom. Now here, you just come up and then retrace. Here, you come up, and this is what I'm going to call this fluff because we had to break out of this wedge first. Here, you just come up and retrace, and then you start ripping. Here you come up. I think we got halted on this day, which might have slowed this down even more. We retraced for two weeks here before finally breaking out of the wedge, and now we are retracing. You could probably argue, you could probably stretch this. Let me just get this out of the way. You could probably make the argument that this is the exact same thing with some fluff. So it's still playing out perfectly where you come up, retrace, and that's where we are. We're now testing the wedge to find support, and in my opinion, it's going to hold, and then we're going to see some more upside and squeeze. So yes, there are some differences in the fractals, but it's very minimal. For the most part, this thing has been following to a fucking T for the past year and a half. So overall, guys, it looks really, really good. I don't know what to say anymore. I have people messaging me every day, what the fuck is going on? We're red. And, you know, I mentioned in the video that I made on Saturday that I was actually, you know, expecting some red this week. You know, sideways. Today was pretty much a sideways day. The candle closed on a doji. It was about, what, 5 or 6 cents in the red on very, very low volume at that. I mentioned this in my last video, and this is probably what we're going to be seeing for the rest of the week is candles like this. I would not be surprised to see a deeper wick tomorrow as the descending resistance line is getting 10 cents lower every day. I would not be surprised to see low of the day 445 tomorrow and find a bounce there and then close somewhere in this range again here. I'm pretty much expecting this for the rest of the week where you're just trading sideways here like this, and then maybe on Friday you find some upward action. If not Friday, then you're looking at Tuesday next week. There's a lot of things lining up. I mentioned this. We've been talking about, you know, different scenarios in my Discord. The reverse split, I do not think is, you know, timed by coincidence. I think that was done on purpose by Adam Aaron. The timing of it just seems, you know, sitting where we are right now, at the end of this wedge here, at the end of the fractals, and you finally broke out, and now we're retracing. I don't think the timing of the reverse split is coincidence. There's just too much. There's too many things lining up for me to believe we're not about to squeeze. And just the fact that we broke out of this is a macro downtrend here, a macro descending wedge. It's a bullish reversal pattern, and we broke it to the upside. You know, the 3-year cycles that I mentioned. This cycle started on February 20th. We are approaching February 20th. What is today? February 13th. The cycles do not have to play out 3 years on the dot, but it's around that range, somewhere within the 3-year range where you get a shift in the trend, and that's what we're getting. You know, we finally broke out of this thing, which is bullish. That's very bullish to break out of a 2-year-long macro downtrend, to break it to the upside, and now we're just retesting the breakout, which is it's a very technical move. And you know, I mentioned that I would not be surprised to see that, and that's what we're doing now. We're retesting the breakout point. Probably going to see some sideways action all week, and you know, establish the support here. I'm not mad to see that at all. You know, that's good. If we establish support above this thing, the next thing we see is upside, which in my opinion is going to be a squeeze to new highs. And you know, I'm not going to bother pulling up the fibs again. Everyone by this point knows my price target. I've been getting shit for it. I don't know why. It makes sense technically, just you know, based off of what we've seen and based off fib extensions. My price target somewhere in the 120 to 150 range, somewhere in that range is what I'm expecting. I'm not going to start getting into, you know, into like theories here. If we do squeeze before the reverse split, you know, what could happen then if we're in three digits before a 1 to 10 reverse split. What we're going to see after that could be pretty fucking crazy. So I'll just leave it at that. Guys, overall, I'm bullish as fuck. I'm bullish as fuck. I don't know how else I can say it. Things look very, very promising for us right now, guys. And, this week might be boring for us, but I am very, very excited for the next coming weeks. With that being said, everyone have a great night, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.